So here I am fixing my motherfucking house again, but y'all know I'm not fixing my house. I'm building this closet for my mom because she finna have a baby. Y'all, guess what? My mom, last time she went to the doctors, earlier this week, I believe it was Tuesday, her doctor's appointment, they said that she was 2 centimeters dilated. So honestly, the baby could come any day now. Tomorrow, she is getting her labor braids done. So, yeah, I'm trying to hurry up and get this closet done. So I had to build this little box around the ductwork, because the box that they had before was real janky for real. And so I had tore it out. I mean, I tore everything out, so it had to come out regardless. But I told her that I had to put something around it. That's why the box was there, because of the HVAC, and I was gonna have to do the same thing. And so she said she wanted a shelf, make it look we put it there on purpose, make it look nice, you feel me? So I built this box. I want to say sorry. I want to apologize in case y'all could hear Elmo in the background, but my baby watching Elmo, and I'm trying to do this voiceover, so yeah. Now, I did get a decent amount of comments that's didn't you just have a baby? How old is your mom? How is she having a baby? Y'all, again, this is my mother-in-law for real, but I call her mom. I feel like I shouldn't even have to put her age out there like that. That's rude to ask women their age. Ain't nobody never tell you that. But I'm gonna tell y'all anyways. I don't think she care. I don't think she give a fuck. She's 39 and her son, my baby dad, is 19, which means she would have had him at 20, and now he's 19. He had a baby, and she's having another baby, and that's okay. Y'all motherfuckers who the fuck is y'all, the labor police? But anyways, I want to give a big thank you to everybody who ordered something off of my mom's baby registry. My mom has been so thankful and so appreciative. She's been waking up every day, multiple times a day, checking her registry to see if somebody bought something, and she's just excited every day. She's looking forward to it every day that somebody bought something from the registry, and then the Amazon packages have started showing up left and right. So I be going over there every day to work on the closet, and every day she be getting something in the mail, and she just be so excited to open it and stuff. And today when I was over there, she opened up a couple Amazon packages, and I didn't know that you guys could leave a note. You guys could leave a gift note. And so the one note was enjoy your gifts, Mimi has taught me so much, or one of the gifts was there was a note in it, and it said something from a Mimi fan, or something like that. And it was just so cute to me. That was so adorable. It made me feel so good. And so, yeah, thank you everybody who has been getting my mom stuff. It's really been making her day every day. And it just warmed my heart that us as a collective, we've been able to do that. I don't know if y'all noticed, but I stood up on this box, and it wasn't really that sturdy, so I put this little board in between it to try and sturdy it up, because I didn't like that, okay? My mom got kids, and so I feel that shit need to be not fucking moving, because if the kids climb up, I can't talk. If the kids climb up on it, that motherfucker should not be going nowhere. That motherfucker should not break easily or nothing. Now, I know y'all noticed, y'all probably noticed, I'm not measuring all the way up to the ceiling. It's because, and this is so weird, I've never seen anything like this before. That wall that I'm working on right there is literally made out of floorboards. That's why there's lines in the wall. Somebody took tongue and groove hardwood floor and put it on the wall. Now, on the other side of the wall is lath and plaster. And so I physically could not remove that stuff from the wall, because on the opposite side, it was the living room wall. So there was nothing I could do about that, but I wanted to go over it with drywall. And so my compromise for myself was I can frame below it. I could frame up as high as I possibly can. And then when I cut the drywall for the whole wall. Now, really, you're supposed to have something to screw to in every corner. But it was a couple inches from the corner. So yeah, I felt like it was going to be okay. And that was my solution for, it was, like I said, it was just some weird shit that I never seen before, and I had to improvise. Now, right here, again, I couldn't fit a full 2x4 above the door. So I had to take a 2x4 and I had to cut it long ways. And I've never actually attempted something like this, but I felt like if Corey was here, Corey would do it. So I was like, let me try. Fuck it. You feel me? And I was able to do it with my circular saw. So yeah, I was pretty proud of myself for that. But yeah, y'all, I'm going to put this little piece above the door, and then you'll see when I go to hang the drywall, I bring the drywall all the way up to the ceiling, even though I wasn't able to bring the framing all the way up to the ceiling. Y'all see that? It's like maybe 6 inches where if I put a 2x4 right there, it wouldn't have laid where I needed it to lay, okay? It wasn't going to work. I don't know how else to explain it to y'all. I really don't. But when I go to measure the drywall going to go all the way up to the top. Look, right here, you're going to see it again. I'm not going all the way up to the top with my 2x4 because I physically can't. Okay? But that's something I want y'all to pay attention to, too, is the way that I'm about to put these boards in the corner. And you could look in the left corner, the way that the boards is sitting. Every corner, when you're calculating like how many 2x4s do I need, know that you're gonna need 2 studs for every corner, because when you frame the corner, you can't hang drywall on both sides of one stud. You need 1 stud facing one direction and 1 stud facing the other direction. So I went ahead and I put that stud in, and then that's another thing I wanted to point out. Do you see how I'm hammering my 2x4 into place? When you take your measurements and when you cut your 2x4s, when you are framing, you want to take your measurements tight. It's good, really, that I got to hammer my 2x4s into place. It's good that I could frame by myself. If you frame if you measure it and it's too short, it'll fucking fall over and shit, like that one. That one was short on purpose, but when you framing, you don't want your 2x4s like loose like that. You don't want to be struggling to get your 2x4 to stand up while you trying to screw it or nail it or whatever. You feel me? You want your measurements to be tight. Now, when you hang in drywall, you don't want your measurements to be tight, because drywall that's too tight won't fit and you'll break it. Now, right here, I'm putting in my box. I'm putting in a circle receptacle box for the light that I'm going to put in there. Now, right here, I'm putting in the box for my light switch. Now, this is like a half box, because you see how I got the 2x4s laying flat? This is not a full-size electrical receptacle box. This is a half-size box for this purpose, literally for this purpose, for 2x4s that are laid flat. And so I had to ChatGPT it. Like, I'm human, y'all, and I don't remember everything. I had to ChatGPT how high the light switch is supposed to be, and I think it told me, like, from the floor to the bottom of the box, 44 to 46 inches. So I went with 45, because I feel like that's self-explanatory why I went with 45. You talking about 44 to 46. I do that when I cook, too. Like, when the brownie box be, like, cooked for 33 to 35 minutes, we just gonna cook this shit for 34 minutes. Because what the fuck? Like, why wouldn't you just say 34? But, yeah. So I screwed my box up, and then I had already drilled the hole in the floor. I don't know why I didn't record that part, but I sent my wire down to the basement. Now, that's my voltage tester. Well, really, it's Corey's voltage tester. I borrowed it from him. You see how I'm touching that wire? That's my wire. I went down to the basement without recording and found the wire that I wanted to tie into, okay? And I traced it back to the breaker box, and I turned the power off. So the wire that I'm tying into to add the closet light is already off. There's no power to it. So that's why the first thing I did was go down to the basement and start touching wires with my voltage tester. Because the way that a voltage tester works, when you touch it to a wire that's hot, it lights up red. When you touch it to a wire that's dead, it don't do nothing. It just stay green. Okay? And so there was wires ran in the basement that was loose. Like, there was extra slack hanging from them. So I found a wire with a bunch of extra slack, and I just turned the power off to it. And, we went upstairs and we tried to figure out, like, what does it go to? And it was like a closet light in the bathroom, and like 4 outlets spread out throughout the house that stopped working. And so that's what's on that circuit. And so what I did was I turned the power off, I put in my junction box, and I pulled all the slack to one spot, and I cut the wire. Okay? Now I'm putting both sides of this wire that I cut inside the box, because essentially we cut the wire and now we're going to put it back together. But we're also going to add in my wire to my light switch, to the closet that I'm building. And so that is literally the purpose of a junction box, to be able to tie in to the electricity that's already there. Because one thing about me, I do not fuck with nothing in the breaker box. Because even if you turn off all the power to the house, there's still shit inside the breaker box that you're not supposed to touch, that's hot at all times, and you can still get electrocuted. And I don't know what that shit is. I don't know what not to touch. And so I don't touch shit going on in there. I don't touch nothing in the breaker box but the breakers. I don't do nothing but flip breakers on and off, okay? Don't ask me to wire in no motherfucking breaker, because I'm not. And so what I do is I tie into wires that are already existing, okay? Because that's what I know how to do. That's what I'm comfortable with. So like I said, I found the wire. I figured out what this wire go to. I pulled all the slack and I cut it. And I'm essentially putting it back together. I'm adding my wire to it. So rather it being one wire and then you cut it and now it's 2 wires. And then now it's 3 wires because I'm adding the wire to my light switch that I'm adding in. Do that make sense, y'all? Now, inside of the wire, you strip the insulation back. The white shit over top of the, or yellow, okay? The yellow wire, that's like for kitchens and bathrooms, okay? But the white wire is like standard wire for like rooms and shit, okay? And regular outlets, regular lights, right? And so for both though, when you, let me make something clear. Do not ever tie into a yellow wire with a white wire. Do not ever tie into a white wire with a yellow wire. Notice that I'm tying into a white wire with a white wire. And if I wanted to tie into yellow wire, I would do it with yellow wire. Don't be mixing colors and shit, okay? Now back to what I was saying, okay? I'm working on a white wire, so I'm gonna say the white wire. The insulation is the white stuff on the outside of the wire. And so you cut it, but you don't want to cut through the wires inside the insulation. So you want to be careful. Like, you only want to cut it a little bit, just enough to be able to wiggle the insulation back and forth and pull it back. I'm going to point it out. I'm going to do it when I go upstairs and hook up the light switch. I'm going to point it out then so y'all can see what I'm talking about. But you strip the insulation off of the wire. And then for that junction box specifically, really, you're just tying all the same color wires together. My black wires all got put together with a wire nut. My white wires all got put together with a wire nut. And my ground wires all got put together with a wire nut. That's all the junction box is doing, is tying together multiple wires. And so that's another thing that I feel like is important for y'all to know, is that different colored wire nuts can put together different amounts of wires. I always get the red wire nuts because I think, don't quote me on it, you could put the most amount of wires in a red wire nut. And I don't even want to throw a number out there because I don't know how many wires you can junction together with a red wire nut. But the other colors, like the yellow ones and the orange ones and shit, you can only do so many wires, and I don't like having them restrictions. I know you shouldn't be mixing a bunch of shit together anyways. You feel me? So I've never really put together more than like 4 wires. Right here, the insulation. You see how I'm just barely cutting it for real. And I'm wiggling the wire back and forth to try to get the insulation off. Now there's that brown paper, and you just rip the brown paper. And then inside, this is what, 12 to 14 to. I get them mixed up. One of them's white, one of them's fucking yellow. I get them mixed up. Anyways, inside, underneath the insulation, there's 3 wires. One is white, one is black, and one is the ground. Now, when you're hooking up a junction box, black to black, white to white, ground to ground. When you're hooking up an outlet, black to the gold screw, white to the silver screw, ground to ground. When you are hooking up a light switch, the black going from the light switch to the light goes on the top gold screw. The black going from the light switch to the power source goes on the bottom gold screw. The white wires get wire nutted together. The ground wires, not only do they get wire nutted together, but you need to make a pigtail. And what a pigtail is, it's when I'm going to cut a bunch of slack off of that gold wire. And I'm going to have 3 pieces of wire. I'm going to have the gold, I don't know why I said gold. I'm sorry. The ground wire. It's the copper one. Okay? And so for the ground wires, I'm going to have the ground wire from my top wire, the ground wire from my bottom wire, and then just a 3rd piece of individual wire. And I'm going to wire nut them all together. And my pigtail is the extra piece. And that is the part that I'm going to hook to the ground screw. And now I explained all this, and now it's finally on the screen. So this is going to be my pigtail. Do you see how I measured that with the wire strippers? Now look, when you wire nut wires together, you want them all to be lined up. Like I use my thumb to push them all up and make sure that they're the same, you know? And then I twist until they like twist around each other, because the cause of like electrical fires and electrical failures and stuff is poor connections, loose connections. And that is from not hooking your shit up right, really. And so something else I wanted to point out that is very important when you're hooking up your wires. Sorry, y'all, I stopped mid-sentence because I had to go check on the baby. Look at me. I'm checking to see which way the screw twist, because whichever direction the screw twists, that's the direction that you want your little loop to go, so that when you tighten the screw, the loop is like going in the same direction, rather than if you loop it the wrong way, you'll be tightening the screw and it'll kind of be like pushing your wire off of it, if that makes sense. And so that's very important that you make sure that your loop goes in the same direction that the screw is being screwed. And if you got to run it back and watch how I hook up the black ones. Look at the direction that my loop is going and look at the direction that my screwdriver is going. And then when I hook up the ground, it's the opposite. Look at the direction that my loop is going and look at the direction that my screwdriver is going. They match each other. Okay? And it's for a reason. Now, I went ahead and I hooked up my light. For these little, I use these little cheap lights. Because, and I said it before, I'll say it again, I don't want to put in no expensive ass light and still be working and break it. But to hook up the light, I did black to gold screw, white to silver screw.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's what I do.
Wait, you put a light switch in there too?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.